City of Stevens Point Finance Committee meeting, recorded June 10, 2024.
We have 6 o'clock. Call the Finance Committee to order. A roll call, please.
Christensen.
Here.
Keemer.
Here.
Broderick. Here. Shuda.
Here.
Morrow is excused.
All right, thank you. First item on our agenda this evening is approval of a resolution relating to the reauthorization of workers' compensation self-insurance for a 3-year period, 2024 to 2027.
Yes, so currently we're self-insured for our workers' compensation insurance, which means rather than paying money to an insurance company, we put money aside in a special fund to pay claims. And in order to continue doing it this way, we need to pass a resolution and send it to the state every 3 years. So this is just a standard routine procedure to certify to the state that we wish to remain self-insured.
Okay. Sounds good. A motion to approve would be in order.
I will move to approve the reauthorization.
Alder Keemer with the motion and Alder Broderick with the second. First of all, with the committee, any questions or concerns? Questions for the Comptroller Treasurer? Okay. Anyone from the audience? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. All in favor of approving that resolution would signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed would be no. That passes unanimously. That brings us to item number 3, requisitioning additional funding for a new Pierce fire apparatus for the Stevens Point Fire Department. That'll actually be on to our 2028 capital budget. Chief, you want to give us a little background, please?
So a little background on this is we have revamped our capital improvement projects when it comes to the fleet here in Stevens Point at Stevens Point Fire Department. I've been working really closely with Chris Johnson over at DPW to make sure we've got that worked out through 2044. With that being said, in 2028, we will be up for a replacement apparatus being a truck. The difference between an engine and a truck, again, the engine carries the water and a lot of the hoses. Our trucks have the big old ladder on top. What we are trying to do moving forward is we are trying to purchase an apparatus every 5 years and keeping it in a rotation engine truck. We would then have the apparatus as a primary apparatus for 10 years. We would have it as a backup in the fleet for 10 years, and we would try to sell it between the years between 20 and 25 years old, hopefully gaining some value in the volunteer organizations that can't afford $1 million or $1.5 million for an apparatus can afford $250,000 to $300,000 to be able to purchase those apparatuses. With this, we are keeping up with the department's needs, and the projected 2028 capital improvement project was $1.4 million for this apparatus. With that being said, after we completed the build, the truck committee took many hours going through everything and working with Pierce Manufacturing and Red Power. We ended up having the build come in at just over $1.5 million. With the last recent Pierce Manufacturing price increase as of May 1st of this year. We also are going to be working under what's called a Producer Price Index, PPI, which if the PPI is less than 5% or less, there would be no price increase from what we lock in at this year. If it's over 5%, we would be responsible for what is over the 5% each year until the build is complete. 16 months prior to the build being completed, we will have a final cost. At that time, the city can choose to move forward with the apparatus and purchasing it, or we can walk away from the build and they will take the apparatus as is. As an example, Truck 22, which is in service as we speak, was purchased on 1/7/22. It went into the fleet last year, basically 30 months after being built. The price increase when we purchased that apparatus in 2022 was $935,000. The exact same apparatus that we're trying to build today is $1.5 million, an increase of 63.5% just over that short time. What we've done is we've figured through crunching the numbers that we're going to save the city and the taxpayers 20+% in this process. That's roughly $306,000 that we're going to be saving the taxpayers here in the city of Stevens Point by doing it this way and moving forward with forward thinking for the future. Before I answer any questions that the committee may have, I would just like to let them know that next Monday I will be having a procedure done, and I will not be at the Common Council meeting. Chief Zavara, who's in the back of the room, will be here to answer any operational questions that the Common Council may have next week. Also with that, Chris in the back of the room will also be able to be here, along with Corey, to answer any financial issues that may come up over the next week that the Common Council may have as questions. With that being said, I am open for questions right now, if anyone has any.
Okay, Alder Kamer.
Thank you. If the order is placed this year, pending approval this week, next week, will Pierce guarantee a delivery date, or is that subject to?
Right now, I'm glad you actually brought that up. So right now, with approval next week in front of the Common Council, I will be moving forward to sign the deal with Pierce Manufacturing. With that being said, the build is projected to not be here, the fire apparatus is not projected to be here till the end of 28 or potentially even into 29. So it's about a 4-year process right now to get it built and here.
Thank you.
You bet.
Any other questions from the committee? How much did we save on, I can remember we had a similar scenario with our last major piece of equipment, and I can remember, it seems to me like it was about like $250,000 or something that we saved by.
That's correct. By changing the way we're actually purchasing these apparatuses now, we're actually saving money with how we're trying to plan for the future in our departments. We're seeing that, especially with Chris managing the fleet as well as he is for the city, not just in the fire department but everywhere else. He's really looking at the cost savings for the community and the citizens and the taxpayers. And we have found that this is one way that we can help alleviate some of that cost.
Any questions or comments from the public? Okay. Have we had a motion already? I don't think so. A motion to approve would be in order. Alder Shuda moves approval. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Alder Broderick with a second. Any last comments? Otherwise, all in favor would signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and opposed would be no. And that passes unanimously. Item number 4, approval of the purchase of 2 garbage trucks out of our 2025 capital budget. Chris, come on down, you're our next contestant.
Thank you. I apologize. I had printed out my memo so I could have it in front of me, but it's now on my phone, so just had to switch cars, so we have that. Very, I guess, similarly to what we had done last year with the garbage trucks, we did the Finance and Common Council did a similar process, much like the garbage trucks, however not, or fire trucks, but however not as years out. there is the shortage that we're facing, and there's the cost savings with signing ahead of time. So what we have on the agenda tonight is for 2 garbage trucks that were actually originally supposed to be on a replacement schedule within the '24 budget, but with everything that happened, COVID and shortages, the trucks that were due for replacement in '23 got moved to '24. We're still waiting for those trucks, but in June of last year, we did a similar item to approve them. Well, I believe that on the garbage truck side, things are starting to settle down. There are still many of the same issues that we're facing with our fire apparatuses, with the, I guess, cost of waiting, if you will, where we have a quote in front of us for about $365,000, per truck, that would replace trucks that are 6 years old, which is already a year over our current replacement schedule. These are trucks that are out on the road, every day. And when we do the math, I think last year when I was here at this time, and we did the math, they pick each truck out of our 4 sidearm trucks pick about 1 million cans in their lifetime, which is kind of a staggering number. We are starting to see the increased maintenance costs on these trucks, and so we are here, much like the fire chief is, so we can sign paperwork for delivery in the '25 capital budget. And we're still waiting for our trucks that we had signed in '23. We do expect them, however, at the end of June, the last week of June. They have been delivered, and they're kind of going through their final upfits. I can take any questions. I'm better with questions.
Okay. Alder Keemer.
Thank you. Yes, you mentioned in your memo that a rear loader is used when one of the trucks is,
Yep.
under repairs. Is that rear loader used for any other purpose, or is it just?
It is. So whenever we pick downtown, a lot of the alleys or the one-ways, we prefer to use the rear loader. Especially on one-ways, it's very difficult because you have the side arm that you can't drive the wrong way. And so when we go down on our one-ways and we have the personnel to do it, same with alleys, a lot of times that we do go down alleys with our sidearms, but it's more efficient with our rear loader, as well as picking downtown. The parks also has a rear loader that's used for all the parks, and we have a really old rear loader that we keep as a spare to our rear loader, and that's ultimately we end up using when we have one of these trucks go down, because depending on the timing, we could have, recycling on one or garbage on the other. So we try to have one that we're not intermingling our garbage and recycling.
Great. And then just lastly, what will happen with the 4 existing sidearms once they're replaced? Like, what is the process for?
Well, to be as honest with you as possible, there's a couple things that we're looking at for maybe one of them. One would be possibly upfitting one of those with a leaf vac system for our leaf collection. But otherwise, we have a lot of luck putting things on Wisconsin Surplus. That's kind of our number one go-to for selling our equipment, and we've been very successful with that. Actually, impressively successful with some of the return that we get on that site.
That's it.
Okay. Any other questions from the committee? All right, thanks, Chris, for the background. Corey, I'm assuming that this all works within the projected budget, that the preliminary that we're kind of taking a very early look at?
Yeah, sort of. Basically every year we have more requests than what we're able to fulfill. However, I think like Chris said, garbage collection is a critical service, and the other thing that we've really experienced with garbage and recycling collection is that if we delay the replacement of those vehicles, we tend to really get beat up on the maintenance costs. So I would say, for sure, like every capital budget, we always have trouble with the capital budget in terms of we have more needs than sometimes than what we can finance, but I think this does rise to the top in terms of, we do need to keep our vehicles and equipment up to date, so.
All right. A motion to approve would be in order. Move to approve by Alder Broderick. Second by Alder Kiemer. Any comments? Mr. Mayor.
So I just want to make a comment about this. The committee right now is being asked to approve allocating funds that we don't have yet, that we don't know what we're going to have in 2025 or 2028. In these cases, I think we're making good, sound decisions. But I want to just kind of remind the committee and the members watching that this is not a common practice. We're doing this because there's an advantage to the taxpayers at this point. If we could buy a fire truck next year and get it delivered next year, we would probably be doing that. But the fact that we won't even get it delivered until 2028 or 29 makes us kind of peek into that crystal ball. And we're saving money while doing it. So I would encourage you to support these, but understand that, if we start getting requests for fleet vehicles because, well, they're cheaper now, everything's going to be cheaper now than it will be in the future, just like everything was cheaper 8 years ago than it is now. We can't get into the habit of allocating those funds for future purchases just because it saves money. There has to be more reason to it, and both of these have those reasons.
Agreed. And their projected the cost increases because they're specialized pieces of equipment. They're not just your regular rate of inflation. He said they'll go up 50, 60%. And
64 or whatever it was.
63? 63 and a half. Yeah. So, no, I think that's a good point as well. All right. So we've had the motion. Anything else? I think we're ready. All in favor of approval of the purchase of those pieces of the two garbage trucks out of our 2025 capital budget will signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed would be no. That passes. Brings us to item number 5, the approval of a capital reallocation to fund a traffic study for West River Drive. Alder Badoon. Alder Badoon, Director Badoon.
Is that a promotion or an insult? I don't know how to take that. I'm sorry.
I'm not sure. Ouch. I'm not sure either, but sorry about that.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Not really much to add here to that. Hopefully I captured it within here. I think everyone knows the background to what we're trying to do, and just the fact that, staff, we're not traffic engineers and don't necessarily have the expertise we need to that. However, looking at our capital budget, I think we can pull aside some of those funds if you so desire to utilize in a study.
Okay.
A question, and I apologize for dropping this at the last minute, but this is one that had occurred to me. The county was just awarded a grant for road safety evaluation. Can any of this be covered under that grant? I know it's a county grant, you can't speak for the county, but would any of it be eligible?
There is a possibility. I don't know specifically that we would utilize covering this grant with it. However, we may utilize that grant, having AECom help point us to some things we might have that grant try to do, say in addition to or to supplement this one.
Yeah, I just know road maintenance is important, and I think the complaint logs will tell you that the citizens think road maintenance is important too, and reallocating those funds for a study, just wish there was an easier way to do it.
Okay. The committee members have any questions for Director Badoon? Okay.
We're obviously taking a chance that the study could come up with something that's very expensive.
That's always a possibility. But it also gives us information to make the best decisions, I think, so. All right, motion to approve would, if that's the committee's wishes.
I will move approval of the reallocation
Move
of
to
funds.
approve by Alder Kiemer. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Alder Broderick. Any other questions or comments?
Sam Lang, Alder, District 9. This is my district that we're talking about here. I spent the day down there what we're talking about on West River Drive. And yeah, we do take a risk that in the sense of there may come back with something expensive, but spent some time down by Herb today, and I think this is exactly what's needed. We need to relook at that. I spent about 2 hours. It's a beautiful spot. It's a beautiful spot of our community, but I watched almost 4 near collisions while just sitting down there. There's something that we got to look at. What that is that we do in the future, I don't know, but it's something that we got to do to protect our people, make our community safer. Thanks.
Thanks, Sam. Anyone else? If not, we'll take a vote. All in favor of approval of the capital reallocation to fund that traffic study for West River Drive would signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and opposed would be no. That passes unanimously. Item number 6, authorization to apply for a Wisconsin DOT Predictive Analytics Crash Reduction Grant. Director Badun.
Thank you. I'm not sure if everyone's aware of what this grant is. It's actually a very unique grant. So our Traffic Safety Commission, which is county-run, has identified this as a potential, and it's really kind of a make-your-own grant sort of grant approach. There aren't real hard and fast rules as far as what it is. The whole idea is to identify certain elements that can reduce crashes, whether you're looking at specific segments of roadway or specific things. In this particular case, certain equipment that can help identify that and help correct issues related to crashes. So what the police department has otherwise put together, they were the lead on this, identifying some things that they felt were useful for themselves, and then working with us trying to identify some of the concerns that we also have as far as just collecting data as well as work zone safety. So we combined the two of those things, came up with the idea that if we had some feedback and data collection, we can start to make better decisions related to what's actually happening, and then targeted enforcement, as well as just that moving some of those feedback signs. If anyone just driving in today, you probably noticed the feedback signs. I hope they're still out there today. Maybe I didn't pay attention. They were taken down today. They were there earlier. To do that, just see that, those are some helpful things as far as curbing speeding, which is one of the leading causes of crashes and injuries. So this otherwise has been through the Traffic Safety Commission. We presented to them to see if there was other support there. If anyone there thought that there was concern as far as what might make this grant better, they otherwise approved it. So we're here asking for formal approval to do that, as well as there is a potential match, as I identified in the memo. That too is kind of a unique situation. Each one is kind of different as it's evaluated as far as what that match will otherwise be. So looking for the up to $12,876 if a hard match is otherwise required as an award to the grant.
Okay. Any questions? Committee, what's your wishes? Anyone in favor? Motion would be in order.
I'll make that motion.
Alder Shuda moves to approve. Is there a second?
I will second.
Second by Alder Keemer. Anyone have any other questions of Alder Badun, or any comments they'd like to share?
I guess I'm curious about how the potential matches is calculated. Is it just like a grants committee is just going to come up with something?
I have to be honest, I don't know. That part has not been explained to me. I don't know, because if you know, I just know that it can be hard match, it can be soft match. I think part of it is actually community size. That's what the only criteria I know.
Yeah, some of it's based on community size, but some of it's based on our wages. A soft portion of that can be our officers out there running radar, determining where we should put these signs, and so the soft match will be based on our wages for officers.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? Otherwise, the vote would be in order. All those in favor of authorizing the application to giving them authorization to apply for a Wisconsin DOT Predictive Analytics Crash Reduction Grant would signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed would be no. That passes unanimously. That brings us to number 7, approval of the purchase of 1,000 Maria Drive.
Yes, so this is a request from the Community Development Department. Not sure if anyone's here from Community Development today. Doesn't look like it. But basically, the reason for the request to purchase this parcel is for a potential street extension as far as extending 3rd Street north of Maria Drive. And the parcel is basically, it's the former convent parcel. On the north side is sort of the area that's in. The purchase price is $47,500, and the source of funding would be the city property fund. So we do have a specific fund where we deposit any rent revenues from the city for the various properties that we own, and then part of the purpose of that fund is in order to buy more properties when there's a strategic need for that acquisition. So the current balance in that fund is $99,000. So this would leave about $51,000 left in that fund for, other things that might come up.
Okay. Motion to approve would be in order.
So move.
Alder Shuda moves approval, and is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Alder Broderick seconds. Questions, discussion? I think with all the development that's taking place up there, this seems to be a prudent move in order to be able to create an infrastructure. Mayor?
So, yeah, in this particular case, there's a pretty good likelihood that in the near future, we'll be asking the council to extend 3rd Street. Acquiring this property now secures that for us, and you also have a favorable recommendation from the Plan Commission for acquisition of this property as well.
Okay, thank you. Alder Keemer.
Thank you. I meant to drive by today. Is there still a building remaining that will need to be relocated or raised or?
Very likely, we're going to ask the chief to take care of that building.
All right. Very good. Thank you.
Practice.
And provide valuable training resources.
That's right. Any other questions? Hearing none, we'll take a vote, and those in favor of approving the purchase of 1000 Maria Drive would indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed to be no? That passes unanimously. Brings us to the final item on our agenda, approval of claims paid. Corey, anything of note that you'd like to
Yeah,
point out?
so a couple of larger expenses. The biggest ones were for the May tax settlement. So basically, we collect taxes for everybody, not just the city, but the school district, the county, the tech college district. So, and then at specific periods of time, we forward those monies to the different taxing jurisdictions that we're collecting for. So you'll see some large multi-million-dollar checks for that. And then the other one that I wanted to highlight is we did pay a $500,000 development incentive for the new Hilton Home to Suites Hotel in TIF District 9 in the business park. So that did reach 75% completion, which triggered the first installment of their upfront development incentive.
Okay. Any other questions from the committee? Okay. Motion to approve claims paid is in order. Would somebody like to make that motion?
Move to approve claims paid.
Alder Broderick moves to approve. Is there a second? Alder Shuda seconds. Any other comments? Questions? If not, all in favor of approving claims paid would signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and opposed to be no. That passes unanimously, and we are adjourned at 6:28.